welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. And if you're watching, you're dialed into the technology. We are coast to coast and we're worldwide. I haven't checked lately on the viewership. Gary tracks that. He'll check it now. And we have a company that uploads the show onto its own platform and 3 others, Facebook, YouTube, and letstalknutrition.com, and the company that we hired to do that. We get about 30,000 hits a day on that stream. A lot of it's in North America, but we have made our way on to at least 6 continents. Antarctica, not yet. I don't know who that person would be in Antarctica, but we'll have to see. Nevertheless, I'm glad you could stop by. It's something that we do here 5 days a week, a couple hours a day. The show does air rough round numbers, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I understand the Northeast and the Midwest, terrible storm moving that way. Bad weather. We're coast to coast, so I know a lot of people that listen and watch the show are living in those areas. It's tough stuff. Wintertime. The climate change, everything's more dramatic now. Yep. Just a function of what it is. It's not just global warming, it's climate change. Yesterday, I don't know if you saw it or not, the launch of that rocket ship, it was unbelievable. And then the return of the 2 boosters, it looked like something out of a movie. It looked like it was fake, but it wasn't. They brought them back to Earth and landed them just like they took off, straight up. One rocket didn't make it. It was supposed to land on a platform on a ship, and that one didn't make it. I mean, this is amazing. The thrust on that was equivalent, they said, to what, 14 or 17 747s. It's, you know.
And could hold the payload of a 747 plus a full payload of passengers, fuel, and entire luggage. That's how big it was.
Unbelievable.
I saw it from the house. Did you see it from the house?
No.
Yeah, I saw it from the house here.
I saw it on TV. It was so impressive. I sat up and just like, what? And that's a private company. And the man, the billionaire who owns it, put his Tesla in there, convertible, in the nose, and playing Bowie's
Major Tom.
What is it?
Isn't it Major Tom, I think?
The for the space.
Yeah.
That on a reel, and it's keep playing over and over again. A little eccentric, but you know, I like that Tesla in my garage. How about that? Oh my goodness! When humans put their minds to things, right? It's
amazing.
I was so impressed, Gary. I was so impressed. It was inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen. It's funny because one of the articles, and it's like you're talking about the mind and how the mind creates things, and we create things in our mind. And I'm looking at this article that you handed me.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Catastrophizing. Do you know anybody who does that?
Yeah.
Okay. Catastrophizing. We'll talk a little bit about that.
It was actually David Bowie's Space Odyssey.
Thank you.
That's it.
There it is.
Earth to Major Tom. That'd be a good one as well. But
yes, yeah. Earth to Major Tom would be a good one.
Yeah, and you can actually there's like a live feed where you can go to a website and watch the car. The car's got video cameras equipped to it, and you can watch this car just float through space. It's
now,
very surreal.
Now, think about it. 1969, we went to the moon. Right. The technology of broadcasting that back, and now you can watch a car hover around, go around the Earth because the Earth is round.
It's amazing.
At any time you want.
It's the SpaceX is the company, of course. You all know it's the first Falcon Heavy rocket launch. Just I know it's a health talk show, but you know what? You can't help but report that. It's astonishing. And that this is all by way of getting ready to do what? Send people to Mars, to the moon. If we keep turning this planet into a toilet, that's going to have to happen. And all these futuristic movies where it's dark and raining all the time due to some catastrophic event, speaking of catastrophizing, if we don't blow ourselves up before all of that, humans are determined to get off this rock, man. Live on other planets. It's unbelievable. I can't get over it. I just can't.
Oh, I'm just the functioning.
Are we allowed
mind.
to? Can we show that film? Are we? Or is there copyright?
I don't know. I would imagine you'd be able to show a little clip, just attribute.
Yeah, there's all kinds of clips there. I'm on the internet and I'm looking at various clips. It's just spectacular, but nevertheless. While Gary's looking for that, I'll give you a number to call. 877-897-8255. 877-897-TALK. Thanks, Stephen, for David Bowie. Of all people to pick, right?
No, he was an alien, so I mean it makes sense, right?
You know what? He was remarkable.
There's a character.
He was remarkable musician and person. There's a documentary on him right now, and boy, my mom loved him. My mother, this elderly woman, was totally into David Bowie. She loved him. She dug David Bowie.
Your mom was hip on some good music.
She liked the Doobie Brothers, and of course all the jazz stuff I played at home. Yeah, but she thought David Bowie was the bomb. Just thought he was great, and he was. Yeah, SpaceX. By the way, the man who owns that company, multi-billionaire, was an immigrant. He immigrated to this. He became a citizen in 2002. I think he's from. Was he South Africa? I get Stephen to check me on that. I'm working totally from loose memories about him.
Yes, South Africa. Pretoria.
Ding, 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 ding. He's an interesting character. Now, you got to be pretty eccentric, right? You're going to launch this rocket ship, and you put your Tesla in there, and a dummy sitting behind the seat playing David Bowie in a loop. you got to appreciate that sense of humor.
Yeah, and on the info panel, most cars have those infotainment systems. It's got "Don't Panic" written on it.
It does. I saw that, Stephen. It said, "Yeah, don't panic." I sat there totally enthralled and captivated. I was fixated. It did remind me of what Gary's allusion to when there's a story, do you young fellows know who the first astronaut was that we sent into space? Do you all know who that was?
Shepard?
Yeah. No. Okay. So, you often hear me talk about stress, and you hear me cite that principle. When under stress, the dominant response tends to emerge. It is reported that they had Alan Shepard on that, by today's standards, was a tin can sitting on a rocket. And they're doing the countdown. And of course, he's all hooked up, and they're monitoring his vital signs. At one point, as the story goes, they became, the engineers and whoever's doing the launch became very concerned about him because all his vital signs went down. He fell asleep. He's getting ready to go into space, and he was asleep, as the story goes. That was his dominant response, totally relaxed. And believe me, that was a tin can compared to what they launched yesterday. Let's talk nutrition. Forward thinking and inspired by the human mind.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
SpaceX private rocket company launch yesterday. We have some film of it if you're watching. It's called the Falcon Heavy.
3,
and
2,
just astonishing what they were able to accomplish. Elon Musk, who also owns Tesla, put one of his cars in the nose cone with a dummy sitting behind the wheel, and they're playing one of David Bowie's songs, and there's a little sign on the dashboard that says, "Don't panic." Elon Musk. Oh, man. You know, we live our lives, and there are people working on projects all around the world in science and technology, in the medical world, and in, space engineering and whatnot. It's just amazing. Our better angels always come through in the end, I hope. 877-897-8255. It's pretty amazing, isn't it, Gary?
It's how the mind works. I mean, that's what's amazing is just how the mind works.
You think he's not catastrophizing. Elon Musk isn't worried about, is it going to blow up? Is it, I'm sure they're concerned, but he has, yeah. He's always he's a nice looking man too, unassuming, young looking, youthful. You gotta love it. Just gotta love it. It's part of our well-being and wellness. We'll all be long gone. There will be people living on another rock someplace.
I got more of a sense of accomplishment with watching that than watching the Super Bowl. Well, because I felt that here in Florida, you can travel over to Cape Canaveral and you can go out there and watch them actually launch a rocket, and the earth shakes. You can be across.
Well, they said yesterday it was the
lagoon,
the vibration was. The reporters were saying that it was just unbelievable.
And so it's what Gary was saying. I think what Gary kind of feels is you kind of feel part of something bigger.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like how the world kind of looks at something like this, and there's no politics involved. There's no, those subjects that just separate people immediately.
Don't they?
And the world can look to something like this as the world and be in awe of what we
for humanity
accomplish. Right? Yeah. So
for humanity,
I'm curious if when we have more events like these, if that will somehow break down some of these walls that we have, nations and continents and everything like that. But it was just you're a part of something bigger when you're experiencing and watching that.
We're so much at each other's throat over stuff, and the nature of human nature, right?
Right.
It's good and bad, and of course philosophers and theologians and all who have talked about it over the centuries, written about it. But watching it, Stephen, you're absolutely right. It does bring a better sense of well-being and wellness to everybody. It supersedes and reigns over division. It brings people together. I mean, that's a remarkable accomplishment. Watching those rockets come back to Earth and land before they would just dump them in the ocean and go pick them up.
Yeah.
And they used those rockets before, by the way, on that ship, those side rockets, boosters. They used that pair on other flights. So that's not the first time they brought rockets back and land straight up. Captain Video. I don't know how many people know who Captain Video is. You know you don't know that piece of trivia.
No.
You don't know who Captain Video is.
No.
I'm surprised. Stephen doesn't know either. Captain Video. I wonder what other person out there listening or watching the show remembers Captain Video. Look him up, Gary.
Captain Video and his Video Ranger.
Exactly. And the when it was on TV, it was so cheesy. He's sitting in. It was so obvious that he wasn't in a rocket ship with some. Yeah, but we still watched it, right? Catastrophizing. That's something we don't want to do, right? And I'm sure Elon Musk, that was the furthest thing from his mind yesterday. And I came across an article. In the first hour is no guest, so I thought we used to do a little potpourri of different stories that are trending. Catastrophizing, catastrophes and is a way of thinking. It's called cognitive distortion. Boy, that's an understatement in the world of psychology. And an individual who tends to do that sees an unfavorable outcome to some event And then we'll reach the conclusion that if that outcome doesn't happen, the results will be a disaster. The earth will open, and we shall all perish. I shouldn't laugh. There are people who are like, I mean, it's a real disorder.
Oh, I live with it. I mean,
You better be careful because she watches.
I know.
You better be shut up. Here are some examples. I'm giving credit to Rachel Nall, registered nurse. She wrote an article for Medical News Today. I'll share with you some of that article. It's a little off the beaten track. And then let's see if Stephen knows the answer to this. Do you know which country is called the land of whiskey? If you know this, I'll fall out of the chair.
Tennessee.
No, country.
No, I know. I'm still going with Tennessee.
That's good, Stephen. You're close.
I was gonna say Kentucky, but
When we come back, I'll tell you about the land of whiskey. And they got some issues there. And the government, it's driving them to drink to figure out how to solve the problem. We'll be back. LTN Coast to Coast Worldwide.
The perfect complement to the finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
Catastrophizing, reporting on a story about this is part of our well-being and wellness, right? Our mental health, too, right? Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing, this is a serious issue. Some examples, when a person catastrophizes, they'll say something like, if I don't pass my exam, I'll never graduate from college. I'll be recognized by my family as a complete and utter failure. Or, if my boyfriend or my girlfriend, my wife or my husband leaves me, I'll never be able to find anybody again, and I'm never going to be happy. I'll be alone for the rest of my life. I'll die alone. Those are some examples of catastrophizing. Doctors call catastrophizing magnifying. That's exactly that. And you make a situation that may not even have happened a heck of a lot worse, far more dire than it would otherwise be, or severe than it would ever be. Now, it's a result of, they say, or cause of anxiety. It's accompanied, that's the driver here. We all from time to time, I think all of us will catastrophize a little bit. But when it becomes a dominant style of thinking and being in the world, not so good. Now, there are any number of causes. Ambiguity can cause anybody to become a little unnerved. Some people don't deal with ambiguity very well. Ambiguity, uncertainty. Other people, it doesn't bother them. They manage it well. Some not so much, indeed.
It's like people that get upset over surprise parties and surprises, and they can't.
They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So ambiguity can be one of the causes. When we value something, when we place a high value on something, we'll tend to catastrophize. Relationships and situations that we hold in high value or esteem, right? Or some object for that matter. Fear, irrational fear, is another cause. If a person is afraid let's say, white coat syndrome, going to the doctor, their blood pressure goes up, they get so anxious. Then they start to think, well, what if, and then by the time you get to see the doctor, they're ready to be admitted. Right? Yeah. Because they've been catastrophizing, sitting there waiting, and they're short of calling the funeral director. Now,
but that goes back to control. I mean, what you've taught me about control.
It's an illusion. There is no control. It's a necessary illusion, but it's an illusion. We don't control stuff. We manage situations. We can influence things and people and events and processes. Control, where you determine the outcome and the destiny of events, processes, people, no, man. It's liberating once you give that up. And in Chinese philosophy and medicine, they've talked about that for thousands of years. In the Bible, yes. Giving up control. It is liberating.
A higher power. I mean, and it took me, a year now to learn that?
It's not so easy because we want to believe we're in control. Anybody that's ever been a parent will tell you that there comes a day when they realize, I never controlled my kids in the first place. When they start to rebel and they push back, you never controlled them. They were just humoring you. So they wouldn't get a licking or, get in trouble, put in time out. People will, when it comes to pain, they will catastrophize. Pain is bad news. People go to any ends not to deal with pain. And pain catastrophizing is when the person will obsess and worry about pain and have this the sense of helplessness overcomes them. It's terrible. And then they resort to drugs because they're so afraid of the pain. I'm a little familiar with pain, and I can understand how this can happen to somebody. I get it. Of course, this is a psychological condition. A psychologist, psychiatrist would be the appropriate healthcare professional here. Now, their tendency is to put you on medications. You know, they'll give you selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, SNRIs, antidepressants, and so on. That's a whole nother world. I don't even want to get into that. Here's a number to call.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Or anywhere in the sound of my voice at 813-636-8255. We are live. It's like 9:30 in the morning here in beautiful Florida. So give us a call.
We have a new sponsor, Celsius. They're not on today. They were on yesterday. And I've tried this. This is the first time I've tried their sparkling orange. Healthy energy, accelerates metabolism, burns body fat. This is pretty yum. This is really good.
That's the first one. That was the first Celsius I had, and
this is good.
It is very tasty.
Very tasty. And when they have the black top on it, that means it's carbonated. The silver top, it's not carbonated.
But no sugar, no preservatives.
Yeah, it's all good. I tried. I brought a can. I put it in the refrigerator last night, and I said, let me take it into the studio tomorrow and try it just to see.
But it doesn't give you the shakes.
No.
That's what I thought was amazing about it.
It's a good product, a good company. Young people, they're excited about being on the show. We're excited about having them, too. They're all amped. We love doing it. The land of whiskey. If I said to you, if in the general population, if the average person consumed 13 liters, that's about 3.4 gallons of pure alcohol a year, do you think that they would have some issue there in that country? Well, the land of whiskey is Scotland. It's become the first country, it's reported, to impose what they call minimum prices on what they said booze. This law is going to take effect in May. This is a serious problem. More than 25% of Scots reported drinking at hazardous or harmful levels in a survey they did in 2016. They had 1,265 alcohol-related deaths that year in Scotland. That put them 10% up from 2015. Serious issue. We'll come back. I'll talk to you more about it.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Take hemp.
Well, apparently they have this huge drinking problem in Scotland. It's alarming. I wanted to report on it because it underscores this whole idea of, lifestyle. Alcohol is clearly, don't need a PhD in anything to know that that's part of lifestyle. Alcohol is, they report in this article, I'm giving Amy Buchanan, well, no, she's not the author. I'll have to check to see who the author is. I want to give that person attribution. But it's an integral part of Scottish life. They drink a lot. Back in 2009, it got so bad they banned, are you ready? Happy hour promotions. Can no longer promote happy hour. So now they're taking aim at, they said, cheap drinks and multi-pack deals in stores and supermarkets, they report. Peter Rice, chair of the Scottish Health Action on Alcohol Problems. That tells you how serious it is. Quote, far too long there was a kind of complacency that said Scotland just drinks a lot. It's part of our history, our culture, like the weather or the soil, close quote. The evidence, he went on to say, the evidence showed that alcohol-related diseases and death were rising much more sharply than elsewhere, and I think that convinced politicians that things needed to change, close quote. Remember, we tried an experiment back, it was called Prohibition. Didn't work. I don't know what success they're going to have. Their consumption of alcohol in Scotland, they've distinguished themselves. It's the highest in the world, according to the WHO, World Health Organization. They consume an equivalent of more than 13 liters, 3.4 gallons of pure alcohol a year, about 40% more than Americans. We're not doing too bad either. We drink 2.4 gallons of pure alcohol a year on average. That's a lot of alcohol, brother. Alcohol is an integral part of Scottish life, close quote. The Scottish government observed when it first proposed a change. Continuing the quote, but there is also clear evidence that for a large section of the Scottish population, their relationship with alcohol is damaging and harmful to individuals, families, communities, and to Scotland as a nation, close quote. Those kind of statements are very dramatic. That's not hyperbolic. Some states, some U.S. states such as Connecticut have price controls on alcohol sales. I didn't know that. I don't know if did you know that, Stephen or Gary? I didn't know that.
I know in Massachusetts and Boston area, there's no happy hour. So, and then I know in Pennsylvania, when I went to Hershey, you couldn't have two drinks in front of you at the same time. You couldn't have a shot and a beer.
That's called a Boilermaker.
Yes.
Drop the whiskey in the glass. In Pittsburgh, they did quite a few of those. I've never had a Boilermaker. On a Friday night, they said in Edinburgh, the bitterly cold weather doesn't help revelers away from bars and clubs. They'll make their way. Here's a quote from a person, Alicia Darcy. She said, people get totally smashed at home because you can buy a whole bottle of spirits for the same price as a round of drinks in town. I think the minimum price is a good idea, she said. Drinking is seen as a joke in Scotland, something to be proud of, and that's a problem. We have to do something about it, close quote. She's just a citizen. If prices don't make people drink less, then I don't see that it would make any difference at the cheaper end, he said, another fella. So there you go. They got their issues in Scotland. You think the drinking is created, I guess they drank to forget their problem. Now the drinking has become a problem. We have our share of, nutritional and lifestyle violations, as I call them, sins. Alcohol is among them. We consume our share, man. We consume our share. And make no mistake about it, it is not benign. It is core, and it's amazing how it's so integrated into the fabric of social life, the culture. I get it. I don't drink anymore. I never drank that much to begin with. I had wine from time to time. I was around it my whole life because I was a musician and started playing very young professionally. I was very, very young. I had my uncle or an adult be with me. And I saw it, and it literally scared me. I saw it at a very young age. I saw the effects of it, and I said, "No, thanks, but no thanks." And that world is, I don't know. It can take over. Well, as many know, it can take over your life, can ruin a life. And I have a couple of friends who belong to Alcoholics Anonymous. One who's a very dear and close friend and has been dry for 16 years or more and still goes to meetings every week.
You're always a drunk. It's
always an alcoholic.
My father was an alcoholic.
I wanted to ask. I didn't want to bring it up. And I know you were raised with him.
The only reason why we ate Sunday breakfast was so he could drink.
And what do you mean by that?
So we could eat. He would make breakfast for everybody, so that way he could eat breakfast and say that he ate breakfast before he drank. That was something in his mind.
Sunday was a day for him to drink.
Yeah. Every day was a day for him to drink. I can't remember going anywhere without him with a beer between his legs in the station wagon or something like that.
You grew up with that.
Yeah. Didn't know it was not normal until I got into my teens.
You thought that was the way it was, He was tormented, right?
Yeah.
He was pretty smart, too, wasn't he?
Unbelievable.
He was pretty smart. Gary tells me wonderful stories about his dad. I mean, some I cannot repeat on here. But his one great line, talking about Gary's brother who did something awfully stupid one day, and his dad looked at him and said to some other people standing there, "That boy is afflicted."
Yeah.
And I said, "You know what, afflicted? That takes care of it. That's if you're a psychologist, you just say to the patient, 'I think you're afflicted,'" and yeah. Well, I'm sure that had an influence on your life, watching that, experiencing that. There are more than a few people listening and watching that have had the same experience. It's part of wellness and well-being. It's part of our health. Let's talk nutrition, coast to coast, worldwide. And that's what time it is. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you could stop by today. And my guest in this portion of the show will be Neil Levin. Not only is he an expert in health and nutrition, but he's a trivia expert as well. We'll see if I can stump him on a couple of trivia questions today. I've been working on a project. Thought I would share with you some interesting facts, statistics relative to status of aging in the United States. It's part of a project that I'm working on. If you go to the government has all kinds of information on this issue. Population Reference Bureau for which is not necessarily, you go to prb.org, but the government itself, institutes of medicine and whatnot, there's all kinds of information. Some of the things you might want to know here about status of aging in America before we get to Neil, just as something to think about. The number of Americans who are 65 and older, that's projected to more than double, from 46 million currently to over 98 million by 2060. Wow. And the 65 and older age group's share of the total population will rise to nearly 24% from 15% at that time. Almost a quarter of the population will be 65 and older by 2060. That's a powerful block demographic, if you think about that, in terms politically, economically. Yeah. The older population, it's reported, is now racially and ethnically more diverse. Between 2014 and 2016, the share of the older population that is non-Hispanic white is projected to drop by 24 percentage points, down to 54.6%. Another statistic here, demographic shift. The changing racial ethnic composition of the population under 18 relative to those ages 65 and older has created a diversity gap that it's reported between generations. That's true. It's amazing, isn't it? The young and the old, I mean, it's not just a demographic or a diversity gap, but it's a gap of relational disconnection. And it's unfortunate. There's such a premium put on youth, and a expiration date put on the on being older. Expires by. Many parts of the country, it's reported in this particular report from the PRB, especially counties in the rural Midwest, are aging in place. Because disproportionate shares of young people have moved elsewhere. They even move away. And I don't get that. This is not the case in other cultures where the elderly are revered and respected. You know, individual families, and you know many yourself, I am sure, where the elderly are treated beautifully. And we have our own individual experiences with that. Maybe you have an experience where the elderly and your family are not treated so well. But as a society, there's a lot of room for improvement here. They also, in this report, say that education levels are increasing, status of aging in America. The education levels are increasing. People 65 and older in 1965, among that group in 1965, only 5% completed a bachelor's degree. But By 2014, that had risen to 25%. That's good. Average U.S. life expectancy increased from 68 years in 1950 to 79 years in 2013. The poverty rate for Americans 65 and older has dropped sharply during the past 50 years, from nearly 30% in 1966 to 10% currently. This is something when you start doing research and you're writing and you're working on this project, you get into the weeds on this stuff and it makes you think about it. There's one thing that's going to happen to everybody. They're going to age and they're going to die. And, that eludes us in our culture. In Asian cultures, it's not that way. We don't do well with this. I'm sorry. I see it.
Where I have my cabin at up North Carolina, they have a problem with not having enough labor for work because there's no young people.
They left.
They all left.
They left. And
so the town decided to start becoming... They turned the town into Wi-Fi, so you got free Wi-Fi throughout the town. Biking's big now. They put a little microbrewery in to bring in back the youth to the town.
Right.
Because they've realized that the youth is moving away. It's become now a retirement town. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to get the youth to come back. And they're trying to get North Carolina University to open up a branch campus there.
Yeah, that's... Kudos to them. They're using their imagination and ingenuity to stay vital. We're all going to age and we're all going to die, man. So, be mindful. I'm just saying, in working on this project, I could share more statistics with you about, for example, obesity rates among older adults have been increasing, standing at about 40%. Of 65 to 74-year-olds, 40%, man, 40% are obese. And that's a horrible, that is one of the worst things they could be at that age. The disease and disability associated with obesity is stunning. How about this? More older adults are divorced. We see this all the time. Couples married 25, 30 years getting a divorce compared with previous generations. They said the share of divorced women ages 65 and older increased from 3% in 1980 to 13% in 2015. That's a big jump. That's 15 points. And for men, it went from 4% to 11% during the same period. Women more prone, it looks like, to initiate the divorce. Sick and tired of taking care of those men, I guess. I don't know what. I don't know. The aging of the baby boom generation, it's reported here, could fuel a 75% increase in the number of Americans 65 and older requiring nursing home care to about 2.3 million in 2030 from 1.3 million in 2010. And don't even get me started about nursing homes. Don't even get me down that road. Dreadful. I don't know. And that's a business that, boy, cutting services and cutting here, cutting there when you're trying to take care of people. Saying those things in the same sentence is not a good idea, but that's what companies do to be profitable. Take a look at some of the food that's served up in some of these nursing homes. You wouldn't slop hogs with that stuff, let alone feed it to people who need wonderful nourishment and good food. Neil Levin is my guest. We'll be back.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends: Virilomax, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension. Exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Neil Levin is my guest in this portion of the show. Neil is a makes regular appearances on LTN, and we enjoy that. He always has something on the menu, something on his mind that he wants to talk about. And today is just as always is with him, comes prepared. And vitamin K. Yeah, there is a vitamin K. And, of course, you know about vitamin D. And vitamin D, vitamin K, K2, and we'll get into this vitamin D and vitamin K business a little bit and see what's on his mind. And Neil is with Now Foods, of course, nutrition education manager for Now Foods. And we, again, enjoy having him on. Neil, welcome back to the show.
It's always a pleasure, Dr. Garko.
So here's a trivia question. Which country is the land of whiskey?
Well, obviously Scotland, Scotch whiskey.
They got a big problem there. I was reporting on it. Alcohol, my goodness, they're in a lot of trouble. This story is no pun intended, sobering. The government is quite concerned. They're trying to rein it in, but not doing so well with it. Are you familiar with that issue there?
Well, that's not only an issue there, that's an issue in a number of countries. When I was in Ireland, they had a campaign against drink driving, which we would call drunk driving, which apparently is a problem there. There were signs on buses and other public places trying to caution people about that, so that seemed to be an issue there. And I guess anywhere you have a pub culture, that you're likely to have people who overindulge, and certainly if there's economic problems or other issues like that, that might just worsen it.
In Scotland, they consume an equivalent of more than 13 liters. That's about 3.4 gallons of pure alcohol a year. In the U.S., we consume 2.4 gallons of pure alcohol, about 40% more. The Scots are 40% more than Americans. We do 2.4, they do 3.4, but that's an awful lot of alcohol, isn't it?
It is. Maybe I should introduce a light whiskey there.
They wouldn't be interested, man. It's really something. Of course, that's certainly part of the lifestyle and how drinking, but it's so woven into the fabric of a lot of cultures, isn't it, Neil? I mean, I don't even know how you begin to unthread it, if you will.
It is. Russian culture is much the same way with vodka, though, so it's not just one area or one country or one culture.
I guess humans like to escape. They like that, like that feeling, whatever. How have you been, by the way?
I've been very well, thank you. Just planning my trips for the year, so just had one pop in for a trip to Iceland in June, so...
Well, I guess, is that summertime in Iceland?
Almost.
Almost.
It'll probably be in the 40s instead of the 30s.
You've been there before. That's an interesting culture. There's a couple of supplement companies that originate there, as you well know. And what will you be doing there?
I'll be doing some trainings there. We actually get some products from Iceland. One is the Aquamin red mineral algae, which is a calcium source, and the other is our kelp comes from Iceland.
They say the water is so pure there. Is that true?
Yeah, they don't even have to filter their city water. It comes right from ancient glaciers.
At least for now.
Yeah, it's untreated water, very clean.
Really? Untreated?
Yep.
There's no water treatment plants anywhere around there.
They don't need them.
I'll be darned. See the things you learn? What's the food like?
Well, it's heavy towards seafood, but and it's fairly expensive there. They don't have a lot of arable land. A lot of their growing is in greenhouses or narrow bands along the coast where they've built up the soil. So most of their food is imported, and obviously that's going to be expensive.
Is it a liberal country or more conservative in its politics, religion, or just generally speaking?
I'd say it's fairly liberal, and women have a huge role after the financial crisis, where a lot of men had cashed in their fishing boats and things and got into banking, and then the banking sector was ruined. A lot of the women stepped in and run a lot of the companies now, and a lot of the society is female-based, so it's one of the more equal societies in the world.
And how are they doing? How are the women doing in business?
Oh, great.
Of course they are. They've been managing the finances at home for centuries. I'm not surprised. That's interesting. The language spoken?
Icelandic.
Icelandic.
And by the way, Iceland is spelled Island. That's how they pronounce Iceland. Spelled island.
Yeah, Island pronounced, yes.
So Iceland means island with their particular accent. It does not mean ice.
Is it something like Island? Island?
No, they call it Iceland.
Okay, Iceland. A Nordic island country of Europe. I understand, and looking now, just as you were talking, it's volcanically and geologically active.
Oh yeah.
What an interesting place. The Danish. Isn't it part of a Danish kingdom? I mean, I don't know much about that part of the world.
No, it's independent.
It's independent. Okay.
Greenland is still part of Denmark.
Okay. All right. That's why Neil's on. See? Trivia expert, man. He didn't know I was going to ask about Iceland. Let's talk nutrition. We are global.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilomax, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Neil Levin's my guest. Neil, welcome back. Vitamin D, vitamin K. Let's start with vitamin K. Interesting compound. What's on the forefront of your mind about that?
Well, vitamin K1 is a common form of vitamin K that you get by eating green leafy vegetables that people are familiar with. That's the one that's most associated with clotting, for example. There's another form called K2, vitamin K2, that has different benefits and different results when they're looking at cardiovascular health in particular. And arterial function, arterial stiffness, getting calcium into the right places where it's not depositing in places it doesn't belong, for example, arteries, and that's why it's a measure of arterial stiffness. So vitamin K2 has a role in heart health, and particularly a form called MK7, which is different from the common vitamin K2 we get by eating meat or dairy products, which is MK4. MK7 has uniquely been shown to absorb much better, have a much longer half-life, and last much longer in our bodies, and have a stronger effect, actually a dose-dependent effect, on arterial stiffness and arterial health and the prevention of coronary heart disease events, such as heart attack and stroke. And they found that every 10 microgram increase in vitamin K2 has been associated with about a 9% reduction in cardiovascular events. So that's a significant benefit.
Is vitamin K2 menaquinone, known as menaquinone?
It is, and MK is the more common thing you'll see on a label or even an ad.
All right, let me back up a little bit. Vitamin K1 associated with clotting. So somebody who has thrombocytopenia, for example, low blood platelets, would be interested in getting vitamin K1 into their body, yes?
Right, and people who are on Coumadin are actually antagonizing that vitamin K. They're utilizing the body's adjustment of clotting based on the vitamin K. You need adequate vitamin K, but changing vitamin K levels day to day, vitamin K1 particularly, can affect the effectiveness of some of these blood thinners like Coumadin.
And green leafy vegetables is one of the. You can also get it in a supplement. Vitamin K2, in terms of food, is what found primarily in meat and dairy.
That's correct. It's almost a fermented type of vitamin K.
Okay, and ironically, that's the one that contributes to cardiovascular health. Meat and dairy don't have such good reputations for cardiovascular health, right?
Well, actually, lean dairy does have a good reputation, and that's a confounding factor in some of these studies, is that people on lean dairy diets tend to have healthier lifestyles. So, there's a connection there as well.
MK7 now. Repeat again. There was sort of a seamless transition from vitamin K2 to MK7. Where does MK7 fit into all this?
Well, about 90% of the vitamin K in the diet is vitamin K1, the green leafy vegetables and such. About 10% is K2, mostly is MK4 in the meat and dairy products. And MK7 is a weird kind of vitamin K that's made from fermented foods, typically fermented soy, but nowadays it's also made from fermented garbanzo beans or chickpeas. And it has some unique properties, being better absorbed, longer lasting, and more effective in the arteries.
Does MK7 can it help with thrombocytopenia? Probably not.
I'm not sure, but it does improve arterial stiffness in a dose-dependent manner, as does vitamin D3.
Okay, so I noticed in your notes to me, you put those together. You have vitamin D and vitamin K together. What's the relationship, if any?
Well, vitamin D helps you absorb calcium. Vitamin K helps you move that calcium into cells and tissues and utilize it, so it's not just hanging around circulating and forming deposits where you don't want it. So you want to absorb it and you want to utilize it.
So vitamin D helps absorb the calcium. Vitamin K delivers it for absorption, so to speak.
Right, and removes or at least reduces some of that risk of having that calcium in your system with nowhere to go.
So people that don't now is vitamin K okay. Let's see here. I'm trying to sort this out. Is it the vitamin K2 that moves that helps for absorption, or the MK7?
The vitamin K2 helps you move calcium out of the bloodstream into cells and tissues.
Okay.
MK7 works by converting into MK4, which is the common dietary form, but it absorbs much better, it lasts much longer, it provides a more sustained, like a time-release MK4, where MK4 gets metabolized very quickly and disappears and doesn't work for long. MK7 prolongs that effect and ends up being the most effective way to get MK4.
And
take MK7.
And at now foods, if I had to guess, you probably have freestanding supplements, K1, K2, MK7, or how do you have it arranged?
We do. We have K1. We have MK4, which is the common, typical form of vitamin K2, and we have the MK7, both by itself and with vitamin D. We just came out with a newer formula that's 5,000 international units of vitamin D3, along with 180 micrograms, which is more than double the RDA of vitamin K as MK7. And these are really therapeutic level doses. These are not very small doses. And when we're looking at studies, for example, high doses of vitamin D significantly and rapidly reducing arterial stiffness in heavy but healthy young African Americans, what's the dose they're using of vitamin D? 4,000 units a day.
4,000 units a day. All right.
So getting 4,000 or 5,000 units a day is a therapeutic range. It's not the RDA type range.
I see. RDA means?
RDA is recommended daily allowance, which is 600 units for adults, and the daily value, which is what the FDA sets for product labeling, is only 400. It's using the old RDA before 2010.
I see.
As labeling 100% of what you need, even though it's no longer considered that by the Institute of Medicine.
Okay. We come back, we'll review that, and then Neil will build on that. This is interesting. Vitamin D, vitamin K, MK7, not as talked about as much. Vitamin D a lot lately. Vitamin K so important, and we'll also have the LTN health question of the day. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
TN Health question of the day. Which form of vitamin K, it's the most, typically in the diet, most consumed, and is associated with blood clotting? Is it vitamin K1, vitamin K2, or MK7? Which one of those forms of vitamin K is associated with blood clotting? And if you suffer from low blood platelets, as thrombocytopenia, this would be a nutrient then that you would want to get into your body, either through eating certain foods that contain it, and or a dietary supplement. Here's the number to call to win a $25 supplement gift card from Vitamin Discount Center.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255, or anywhere in the sound of my voice, 813-636-8255. It's Wednesday, about 10:45, so we are live, so call in anywhere.
Anywhere. Neil, welcome back. Are you going to Expo West?
I plan to be at Expo West, yes.
We'll make sure that we come by and visit you at the Now booth. You always have a nice presentation there.
We're going to have a huge booth because it's our 50th anniversary. It's larger than normal.
You're 50 years old. Not
Our company is.
The company is. You're not 50 yet, are you?
No, I'm in my 60s.
Oh, wow. You're doing okay then.
Yeah.
What is it, the formaldehyde? So if one of the listeners or viewers goes into a store, their favorite health store, and they want to buy Now Foods, they look for is it say K1, K? They're separated out on the label like that?
Yeah, the MK7 is usually called out on the label as MK7, but vitamin K2 typically is MK4, which is not as well absorbed, not as effective, but it's the more common traditional form of vitamin K2 and more similar to what you get in the diet.
Mm-hmm. So we see if you can win this $25 supplement gift card. Which form of vitamin K is associated, for example, with thrombocytopenia, low blood platelets? It's associated with clotting. Which one of that? Vitamin K1, vitamin K2, or MK7? So a combination of MK7 with vitamin D3 would be a good idea for cardiovascular health, you're saying?
It is, because both vitamin K and vitamin D, and especially vitamin MK7 form of vitamin K, have been associated with a dose-dependent decrease in arterial stiffness and a decrease in cardiovascular events. And the vitamin D is only going to work properly if you have enough vitamin K.
What is the risk of taking a calcium product?
Actually, the risk has been largely negated. It was theoretical, and a lot of the studies have shown that that calcium is safe in higher amounts, and you can certainly increase that safeness by taking the MK7 and making sure that it's not going to settle out in the arteries instead of being where it belongs, moving to tissues and cells.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes people will buy these off-label, off-brand calcium products that are very cheap, and it doesn't have the necessary cofactors, and they put themselves at risk when they do that, don't they?
Right, unless you have enough in the diet of your vitamins, yes. If you take a multivitamin, maybe you'll have enough to help you absorb it. And remember, if you're taking an oyster shell or a calcium carbonate form, you do need good stomach acid to absorb it. That's not going to be true of things like calcium citrate or some of these pre-acidified forms. They do not require good stomach acid. They are pre-digested, pre-acidified. They will absorb well, and that's one reason why health food stores sell far more of these better absorbed so-called chelated forms or bonded forms than we do the rock powders and oyster shell and that kind of thing, which are traditional but not as popular anymore.
Is vitamin K what you need for your eyes?
No.
No.
Okay.
Vitamin A, any of the carotenoids would be helpful.
That's right, carotenoids. That's
all right.
Okay.
Right.
Explain to the listener and the viewer, vitamin K is not a water-soluble vitamin, but a fat-soluble vitamin. Explain what that means, please.
Now, fat-soluble nutrients are vitamins A, D, E, and K.
A deck.
And it also includes things like alpha-lipoic acid and certain other things that absorb using fats. So if you don't have enough fats, CoQ10 would be another good example. If you don't have enough fat, you're not going to absorb it well. So what does that mean? It means you need at least 3 to 5 grams of fat, and in some cases more, which is about a teaspoon of fat, to really be able to absorb these nutrients. Don't take your multivitamin on an empty stomach unless you're taking a spoonful of fish oil or coconut oil or something with it that's going to help you absorb it, or with a meal that naturally contains fat.
So any of these vitamin K supplements are better taken when with a meal that has some fat in it.
Yes, and that's not only the vitamin K, but vitamins A, D, E, and K.
A deck.
And alpha-lipoic acid and CoQ10. There's a number of things that require fat for absorption.
This is interesting. Yeah, you see how that works? Some things you take on an empty stomach, some things you take with food, some things you take with certain kinds of foods. You try to sort that out. Come on, you all can get this. Which form of vitamin K is associated with clotting? K1 or MK7? I'll just give you 2 choices. You can guess. And you said that form is about 70%.
The K2 is only about 10% of the diet.
Yeah, the other form is the answer is about 70% of the diet. It's very found in green leafy vegetables, for example. Is it vitamin K1 or MK7? Now Foods, nowfoods.com, and Now Foods products sold in fine health stores throughout the United States and in other countries. We hope to see you at Expo West. If we don't talk to you before that, Neil, and we'll make sure we stop by, and who knows, we may even shoot a little bit of film.
I'll be there. Always glad to help. Thank you, my friend. Stay healthy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I stumped you today. That's rare. The answer was vitamin K1. Yeah. If you suffer from thrombocytopenia, you want to get that into your diet. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll do it again. And who knows what will be on the menu, but it's always fresh. No artificial preservatives, colorings, or flavorings. You are listening to LT.